Republicans like Paul Ryan on the one hand the other day urging his members not to overstate it, saying that this is not that big of a deal. It's just going to raise some questions. I had Congressman Stewart say that to me just the other day. But then you have Lee Zeldin saying that this is going to make it clear that leadership changes are needed at the top. And you have Paul Ryan right there saying it's very important for the public to see this because we're talking about potentially, compromising civil liberties in this country. This is so far afield from what I remember Republicans doing in the early 2000s when it came to the Patriot Act. There was no way to put any sort of pressure or constraint on the intelligence community because it was all about protecting the homeland, all about protecting Americans. And now this memo comes out, which is maybe it's not revealing sources and methods, but it's going to be revealing some aspects of it at least, because it's about what's going on in getting a FISA warrant, and that is okay to release to the public?
Yeah, the Republicans have gone from take the gloves off on all terrorists, we need all of these tools, we need intrusive surveillance, to we are going to be the ones that stand up for you, public, and let you know about, all these indecencies and atrocities have been done to you through electronic surveillance. What's ultimately going to come out, I imagine, is they're going to try and connect some part of the FISA application to the dossier. They've already gone after the dossier very heavily. Now they can take two of these kernels of truth and string them together into a conspiracy. I would also remind people that the dossier has proven, from what I've seen, to be pretty much accurate, at least at this point. There's lots of gaps and holes in it. But they're trying to tie this together as, Hillary Clinton's campaign created the dossier, which was then used to investigate Donald Trump, which is all a bunch of nonsense. What they're going to leave out is all the other sources and tips and other indicators that emerged there. You had Carter Page, who was a person that had been notified and interviewed before for being a target of the Russians for recruitment, who then appears on stage in Moscow after he was picked by Donald Trump's campaign to be one of their top foreign policy advisors. It's ridiculous. There's plenty of predicates there to then alert people for a counterintelligence investigation. And in fact, it's pretty straightforward. So in the end, the truth will just be muddied. And the goal is just to undermine these investigations. And again, the pattern is going, and the longer the Mueller investigation goes on, the more I think we're going to see things like the memo get pushed out there as some sort of conspiracy against Donald Trump.
Mac, where do you see this going?
Well, I think Clint's point about Super Bowl week, I think the president hoped it would be his State of the Union and Economy week. I mean, this is really such a distraction for the president of the country.
I think the president wants this memo out. This is looking good for him. He's according to the Washington Post, privately saying the memo is gaining traction and it's helping him.
I would take a different point of view respectfully.
I think you probably would take a lot of different point of view.
In fact, I would take it strongly as well as respectfully. I mean, this is distracting from the governing, getting his agenda done. That's what the American people want. And I think the comments you've heard, this is all going to be a muddle. And I just think at the end of the day, it's not going to serve the president well in terms of policy or his governing, but more importantly, it's not going to serve the American people well.
You served a president who also faced a special prosecutor, Bill Clinton. He was eventually impeached, didn't leave office, but he was impeached. What sort of calculations are being made right now within the West Wing?
I think the calculations, it seems from the president's lawyers, which Bob could speak to, seem to want to keep it on a legal track and keep it moving forward. That does not seem to be the political calculation, however. Some of that's being driven from the Hill. But I think you noted about it was not bipartisan, and that's not consistent with sunlight and everything we heard from the speaker. So I think you've got conflicting views within the White House. And Katie, look, you've got some strongly conflicting views within this administration with key officers and leaders of the Trump presidency.
You ever seen anything like this?
No.
Any of you?
Amen.